Utopia of a Tired Man. It's written by Jorge Luis Borges. It begins with this quote. He called it Utopia, a Greek word meaning there is no such place. Credo. No two hills are alike, but everywhere on earth, plains are one and the same. I was making my way in such country, asking myself, not that it really mattered, if this were Oklahoma or Texas, or the part of the Argentine that literary men call the Pampa. Neither to right nor left did I see a fence. As on other occasions, I slowly repeated these lines by the poet Emilio Uribe. The heart of the endless awesome plain, and close by the border of Brazil, which keep growing and ever expanding. The road was uneven. The rain began to fall. Some 200 or 300 yards off, I saw light from a house, which was low and rectangular and surrounded by trees. The door was opened by a man so tall he almost gave me a fright. He was dressed in gray. I felt he was waiting for someone. There was no lock on the door. He went into a long room with wooden halls, a table and chairs, a lamp giving off a yellowish light hung from the ceiling. The table, for some reason, seemed strange to me. On it stood an hourglass, the first, outside of some steel engraving or other I had ever laid eyes on. The man motioned me to sit in one of the chairs. I tried out various languages, and we did not understand each other. But at last he spoke. He did so in Latin. I dusted off what I remembered from my now distant school days, readying myself for conversation. By your clothes, I see you come from another century, he said. A diversity of tongues favored a diversity of peoples and even of wars. The world has fallen back on Latin. There are those who fear it may denigrate again into French, limoussi, or papiamento, but that is not an immediate risk. Be that as it may, neither the past nor the future interests me. I said nothing, and he added, if you don't mind watching somebody else eat, will you join me? Seeing that he noticed my uneasiness, I said yes. I went down a corridor with doors on either hand that led to a small kitchen in which everything was made of metal. We came back with our dinner on a tray, bowls of cornflakes, a bunch of grapes, an unfamiliar fruit whose taste reminded me of figs, and a big pitcher of water. If I remember correctly, there was no bread. My host's features were sharp, and there was something unusual about his eyes. I won't forget his pale, austere face, which I shall never see again. He made no gestures when he spoke. Having to converse in Latin inhibited me, but at last I said, doesn't my sudden appearance amaze you? No, he said. We receive such visits from century to century. They don't last long. Tomorrow, at the latest, you'll be home again. The certainty in his voice was reassuring. I thought it proper to introduce myself. I am Eduardo Acevedo. I was born in 1897 in the city of Buenos Aires. I'm 7 years old. I'm a professor of English and American literatures and a writer of imaginative tales. I remember having read, not without pleasure, 2 tales of an imaginative nature, he said. Travels of a Captain Limio Gulliver, which many people take to be true, and the Summa Theologia. But let's not speak of facts. Facts matter to no one anymore. They are mere points of departure for invention and reasoning. In our schools, we are taught doubt and the art of forgetting. Above all, the forgetting of what is personal and local. We live in time, which is successive, but we try to live sub specie aeternitatis. Of the past, we retain a few names, which language tends to lose. We shun pointless details. We have neither dates nor history, nor have we statistics. You said your name is Eduardo. I can tell you my name, because I'm simply called someone. And what would your father say? He had none. On one of the walls I saw a shelf. I opened a book at random. The letters were clean and undecipherable, and they were written written by hand. Their angular lines reminded me of the runic alphabet, which, however, was only used for writing inscriptions. I reflected that these men of the future were not only taller, but more skilled. Instinctively, I looked at the man's long, fine fingers. "Now you are going to see something you've never seen," he said. He handed me a copy of Thomas More's Utopia, printed in Basel in the year 1518. The leaves and pages were missing. Somewhat foolishly I answered, "It's a printed book. At home I had over 2,000 of them, though they were neither as old or as valuable as this one." I read the title aloud. The man laughed. "No one can read 2,000 books. In the 4 centuries I have lived, I haven't read more than half a dozen. Besides, rereading, not reading, is what counts. Printing, which is now abolished, which is intended to multiply unnecessary text to the point of dizziness, was one of man's worst evils. In my strange past," I said, "the superstition prevailed that every day, between evening and morning, certain acts occur which it is a shame to be ignorant of. The planet was populated by collective ghosts. Canada, Brazil, the Swiss Congo, and the common market. Almost no one knew anything of the history that preceded those platonic entities, but, of course, they knew every last detail of the most recent Congress of Pedagogues, or of imminent breakdowns in diplomatic relations, or of statements issued by presidents, drawn up by the secretary of a secretary, and containing all the carefully worded haziness appropriate to the genre. These things were read to be forgotten, for only hours later, other trivialities would blot them out. Of all offices, that of politician was without doubt the most public. An ambassador or a cabinet minister was a kind of cripple whom it was necessary to cart around in long, noisy vehicles, ringed by motorcyclists and military escorts, and awaited by eager photographers. It seems that their feet had been cut off, my mother used to say. Pictures and the printed word were more real than the things they stood for. Only what was published had any reality. Esse est percipe, to be photographed, was the beginning, middle, and end of our singular idea of the world. In that past of mine, people were naive. They believed that certain merchandise was good because its own makers claimed so over and over again. Robberies were also frequent, though everyone knew that the possession of money brings no greater happiness or peace of mind. Money, the man echoed. No one any longer suffers poverty, which must have been unbearable, or wealth, which must have been the most uncomfortable form of vulgarity. Everyone has a calling, like the rabbis, I said. He appeared not to understand and went on. Nor are there cities anymore. To judge by the ruins of Bahia Blanca, which I once explored, not much has been lost. There are no personal possessions now. There are no inheritances. At the age of 100, when a man matures, he is ready to come face to face with himself and his loneliness. But then he will have fathered a child. One child? I asked. Yes, only one. There is no reason to carry on the human race. Some people think man is an organ of the Godhead for universal consciousness, but nobody knows for sure whether such a Godhead exists. The advantages and disadvantages of gradual or simultaneous suicide by every man and woman on earth are, I believe, now being argued. But let's get back to what we were saying. I agree. Having reached 100, the individual no longer stands in need of love or friendship. Evils and involuntary death are no threat to him. He practices one of the arts, or philosophy, or mathematics, or he plays a game of solitary chess. When he wants to, he kills himself. Man is master of his life. He is also master of his death. Is that a quotation? I asked. Of course. Quotations are all we have now. Language is a system of quotations. In the great adventure of my time, space travel, I asked. It's centuries ago now that those travels were given up. They were certainly to be admired, but we could never rid ourselves of the here and now. With a smile, he added, besides, all travel is spatial. To go from one planet to another is like going to the farm across the way. When you enter this room, You were carrying on a voyage through space. That's right, I said. And one also used to speak of chemical substances and animals. The man now turned his back to me and looked outside. Beyond the windows, the plain was a white, silent snow and moonlight. I got up my courage to ask, are there still museums and libraries? No. We try to forget the past, except for the writing of elegies. There are no commemorations or anniversaries or effigies of dead men now. Each of us must himself produce the arts and sciences he needs. Then everyone must be his own Bernard Shaw, his own Jesus Christ, his own Archimedes. He agreed without a word. What happened to governments? According to tradition, they fell into gradual disuse, he said. They galled elections, declared wars, collected taxes, confiscated fortunes, ordered arrests, and tried to impose censorship, but nobody on earth obeyed them. The press stopped publishing the news and photographs of government leaders. Politicians had to find honest work. Some of them made good comedians or good faith healers. What actually happened was probably far more complex than the summary. He went on in a changed tone. I built this house, which is the same as all others. I carved this furniture and these utensils. I worked these fields, which will be improved by people unknown to me. May I show you a few things? I followed him into an adjoining room. He lit a lamp like the first one. It, too, hung from the ceiling. At a corner I saw a harp with a few strings. On the walls were rectangular canvases in which yellow tones predominated. The work did not seem that of the same hand. This is what I do, he said. I examined the canvases, stopping before the smallest one, which represented or suggested a sunset and which encompassed something infinite. If you like it, you can have it as a keepsake of a future friend, he said matter-of-factly. I thanked him, but there were a few canvases that left me uneasy. I won't say that they were blank, but they were nearly so. They're painted in colors that your eyes of the past can't see, he said. A moment later, when his delicate hand plucked the strings of the harp, I barely caught an occasional sound. Just then a knock was heard. A tall woman and 3 or 4 men entered the house. One would have said that they were brothers and sisters, or at that time had made them alike. My host spoke to the one first. I knew you wouldn't fail to come tonight. Have you seen Niels? Off and on. He's as devoted to his painting as ever. Let's hope with more success than his father. The dismantling began. Manuscripts, pictures, furnishings, utensils. We left nothing in the house. The woman worked alongside the men. I was ashamed of my weakness, which scarcely allowed me to be of any help. No one shut the door, and we went out, loaded with things. I noticed that the house had a saddle roof. After a 15-minute walk, we turned left. In the distance, I made out a kind of tower, crowned with a cupola. It's the crematory, someone said. Inside it is the lethal chamber. It's said to have been invented by a philanthropist whose name, I think, was Adolf Hitler. The caretaker, whose stature by now did not astonish me, opened the gate to us. My host exchanged a few words with him. Before stepping into the enclosure, he waved goodbye. It looks like more snow, the woman said. In my study on Mexico Street in Buenos Aires, I have the canvas that someone will paint thousands of years from now, with substances today scattered over the whole planet. In one man's opinion, you can't do much better than Borges.